We're back to Chapter 6. This is Part C. We're almost done with the chapter. And at this point, I want to forewarn you that there are some errors in the book, and I will tell you about them when we get to them. Just beware. We're going to take the image and turn this into a CMYK mode so that we can put some color highlights in the model's hair using the black channel. We don't have a black channel now that we're in RGB. We have the red, green, blue, and the merged channel. So we want to go to layers, and we're going to go to image mode and convert this. Don't merge the layers. We need the layers separate. Do not merge, but say OK to whatever convert profile comes up. So we have the CMYK channels now. Turn off the shadow copy and select your model layer. Go into channels and deselect everything but the black layer. We want the black layer, and we are going to duplicate that channel. Name it hair and say OK. Select the hair channel. You'll get your red rubylith for a second, and then turn off the black channel layer, and we are just working with the hair. So you can see that all we have right now is going to be the hair layer, and it is just the black. We're going to get rid of everything else. We want to go up to Image, Adjustments, and Invert, because this is going to allow us to work with just the hair. The reason we inverted this is because if you remember, the masks that we work with, anything that is in black is hidden, anything that is white is visible. We want to work with the hair. We want the hair to be visible, so we have inverted this to make it able to be adjusted and colorized. We need to also paint out the sections that we don't want colorized, like his glasses, what's left of his eye, his nose, his mouth, and under his chin, the shadow area. We are going to make a slight adjustment to this. We are going to deviate from the book because what works in the book isn't correct. It will not work the way we want it to. So we're going to make some changes. First, we're going up to Image, and we're going to go into Adjustments, and we want Levels. We're going to make a slight adjustment to the levels, not as great of an adjustment as they have suggested. We're going to drag the black slider a little bit. We want to minimize some of the areas, so we're getting rid of some of the lighter shades. We can drag it over quite a bit, but don't follow exactly what they're giving you in the book. If you take this over to the 85 that they suggest, and you bring the white down as they suggest, we're getting too much white. We don't want that much. It's not as good as if we control some of this. So bring your slider down just to where you're inside whatever you get for a peak of white, and then drag the center slider back a little bit more. Your histogram may not look exactly like mine. We're going to minimize some of what we're getting. When you get an image that you're happy with, say OK. The next thing you want to do is to paint out the remnants of anything that's on his face. Well, it's not his eyebrows, but there's a little wisp of hair on his forehead. We can paint that out. So next, pick up your paintbrush. If for some reason your foreground color is not black, you need to change that. Mine originally came up in grayscale. You can click the default to bring it black and white, but we need the black to the front, so you can switch very easily by clicking on the swap foreground and background colors, or use your letter X on your keyboard to get the black to the front. Find yourself a decent brush size, whatever you'd like to use. Take your opacity up to 100%, and you might want to use something with a sharp edge and paint out some of these sections Make sure you don't have anything under his nose. Make sure there's nothing left of it in his chin area, his eyebrows, or anything left of the glasses. You can paint this area out. It'll be fine. The next thing we're going to do is to load the channel as a selection. So all you have to do is come down and click on this little icon in the bottom of your layers panel, and you're going to get the crawling ants around that. Turn on all the channels again. You can deselect the hair channel. Go back to your layers, making sure your model layer is still active. Go to select and refine edge. Again, I don't particularly care for the description that they give in the book. We're going to make a slight feather. I have the 1.2 pixels on there. You could do a little bit less if you want. You could do a little bit more if you want. What happens on there, do you see how this blurs across here? You're going to end up with too much color coming through on other parts that you don't want. I'm actually going to take my feather back down so that it's only part of a pixel, but you can make yours a little bit different. I'm going to say OK to that. After you click OK, after you do the refine edge, you should end up with another layer that is model copy. Model copy is now going to contain the hair that we're going to work with. Make sure you have that layer selected. That's what we're going to make an adjustment to. Go to Image, Adjustments, and you want to select Hue and Saturation. If your adjustments is grayed out and you can't select it, go back to the model copy layer and double click the layer thumbnail. I know it's going to bring up layer style, just cancel that, but you need to make sure that that is selected, and then you should be able to go into adjustments and select hue and saturation. There is no colorize. That's what hue and saturation does. It changes color. So ignore that. The next thing you're going to ignore is hue 230 because hue does not run up to those numbers. So you're going to pick a color that you like. Now if you look at their slider position, you can see they're up to approximately plus 35. You can choose whatever color you would like. Go up to any of those that you're interested in and make that selection. So it doesn't matter to me what color you want to make his hair, but you're just going to add a highlight to it. You can change it to anything you'd like and saturate it so that you're getting a lot more color through, and lighten it just a little bit. What you're going to see through here is you're going to see that's the effect of all of that that feathering that we did. And so you're getting a little bit of a blur through there, but that's fine. Once you've got the hair for the model about the way you like it, click OK. Now you can go back one more time into Image, Adjustments, Levels, and in your levels adjustment, you're going to darken the hair just a little bit. You don't need to darken it as much as they suggest because that makes it completely black. What you want to do is you can drag rather than dragging the white slider over, although you can if you want to, you won't have to move it much, you can then reposition the mid-tone slider to bring that up and adjust with your dark and your mid-tones how much of that colorization you would like to show. Now you can go in and turn on the model layer, turn on the shadow, copy the shadow, which really shouldn't be there anymore, or for some reason I ended up with a shadow copy and a shadow, and turn on your magazine background, and you have the completed file. I don't have anything showing on that shadow layer. I'm going to eliminate that layer because I don't need it. If you would like to make any adjustments at this point, say to your model copy, if you don't like some of the fringe of color in here, you can go in and select the masked section of it. Just click on the mask to make sure there's a white border around it. You can go in with your brush tool, making sure that you have black for your foreground color. You can soften the edge of your brush, and if you don't like where some of the color is, you can actually go in and take some of this out if it is not what you wanted or not what you expected. You can paint some of that out. You use a soft brush, and what that's going to do is allow the color underneath to come through. So you have that control. You can refine anything that way. If you don't like something on the model layer, you can go back in there and you can refine your mask. That's too much, of course, but I wanted you to get the idea. You can do any refining that you would like after the fact. You just have to go in and select the layer mask and work on what you have selected. Once you're finished, once you're happy with this, you can go File and Save. And then I would like you to go to Image Size, and change the resolution from 200 pixels per inch to 100 pixels per inch. This is going to make a smaller file size. Say OK to this, and then go in and rather than save this, again, do a Save As. That way you've got the original, but go in and save as a Photoshop PDF file, keeping your alpha channels and layers. Save. OK, or make sure that you're saving as press quality and save the PDF. Say yes to any dialog box that comes up. And we should find at this point that your file size should be approximately 3 megs, which is going to be much easier to send than the 15 meg Photoshop file.